Gender-based violence is one of the major challenges faced by Honeydew residents. Women struggle to get immediate assistance when they report GBV incidences in their communities. Zinigo Mhlaba is on the ground speaking to various voices in the area, and he joins me now live. Now, Zinigo, in the last hour we spoke, and you had a conversation with one of the GBV activists in the area, and she was saying how they are not getting any joy from the police in terms of reporting their cases. Now, the community met up with ward councillors, and they were in a meeting in the last hour. How did that meeting go, and what are the results of that conversation?
That is right, Gauteng. We just came out of a meeting between local leaders, ward councillor here, and some local residents who had been engaging on issues of crime and other matters relating to service delivery. Well, just to get a sense of how that meeting went, we will be joined by the local councillor right now. But I can tell you, from what we saw, the meeting was very, very cordial. There wasn't any issue in terms of where you'll find that in a committee meeting. You'll find people protesting, people being unhappy, attacking the local leaders. It seems as if the relationship between the local leader here and some committee members is very, very healthy. But just to get a sense of what exactly was he called here for, we are going to be speaking to the local councillor himself. Councillor, thank you very much for taking time out to us and also for allowing us into your meeting, private meeting. But give us a sense of why were you called here, and just give us a sense of the extent of crime in this community and how the authorities, especially with you having to liaise in between committee members and the authorities, how are things?
Yes, the reason why I come out to be on the ground with the communities too, because I've been hearing about these crime issues and stuff and other service delivery issues that they're facing. And I came and I said, I'm coming, this is the day I'm coming. And I came and I listened to them. And they were saying that there's not a strong enough CPF structure where they want to work together with the SAPs to say that they want to report crimes and have the assistance from SAPs to come and assist them with all the incidents that are happening in the informal settlement.
I mean, we spoke to police earlier on. They're saying it becomes very difficult for them to access these communities because of challenges in terms of road infrastructure. As local leaders, local government leaders, I'll assume that you represent government to some extent. So how do you then expect emergency services to access these communities if government is not building roads? How are they supposed to be getting into these communities? So from the government's perspective, you're also lacking.
So I think at least the two departments, I would say the SAPs as well as local government, like the ward councillors, they need to make sure that they are attending CPF meetings to discuss these issues. Like often I find that SAPs gets information about a certain area, but they don't communicate it to the ward councillor to say, look, we need your help here. Can you please help us assist? And same with the ward councillor, when they're raising the issues, that they bring it to the police station and have meetings so that they can say, can we have some sort of plan. I've also been told that this community in this area, they did ask the minister when he came to visit that they wanted a satellite station, and he said he's going to be working on it, and that was from 2019, but still no satellite station has arrived for this particular area.
I mean, it's taking us back to the issue of, yes, there might be a police station here, but where and how should those policing services be distributed to these communities? Because there are no roads. I mean, earlier on, you were walking through passages. It was difficult even for us to walk. So from your perspective and your responsibility as government representative, who's supposed to be communicating with SAPs on behalf of the people, what have you been doing so far?
So what I've been doing so far has been writing to the MMC of Housing to say what plans and stuff can we start upgrading the informal settlement so that we can put streets, so we can make sure that the land that they're on is properly acquired and stuff, and that service delivery can happen. And from there, that will also assist with SAPs to actually infiltrate these informal settlements. But it's a big, long process where you have to go through all three spheres of government to work together to try and get them all to communicate. And communication is the key to try and deliver the resources that it requires.
I mean, give us a sense of this place, because we're seeing that this is also in between dumping sites. Surely there might be some issues in terms of bylaws, in terms of people not being allowed to erect informal settlements here. What's the situation in regards to that?
So it's very, very complex, and I know there's a task team that's being implemented to try and look at every avenue. Like 40 departments are going to be coming together, as well as the Human Rights Commission, because everyone has rights, and you cannot just move people and stuff like that away because they are making a living and stuff. So you have to try and find a complex social matter to try and with a task team to identify each matter and discuss a solution for each matter.
But the environment itself is illegal. The settlement informal settlement itself is illegal. Government will say then, well, how do you provide services for people who have grabbed the land?
Yes.
What's the responsibility then of yourself as local leaders to conscientize your people in terms of where and where not to erect informal settlement? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be difficult for them to get services.
Yes, yeah, that is correct. So you have to take it by case basis, and you have to, depending on who the property land is. So if it was a private property, you have to speak to the private property owner to try and see, are they willing to sell the land back to the city so that the city can take control of the land, and that will be with negotiations, or just keep submitting compliance notices to the private property owner to say that they need to sort it out, and eventually when they do not sort it out, we'll go to court where then the city will be able to take over the land and then be able to start using their solutions and plans to help upgrade the informal settlement. So take it from an illegal land invasion and to then move the settlement to a better area in case it's not on a flood line, because sometimes these informal settlements are right next to a flood line and it's dangerous for them. So the officials and the departments will assess the situation and see when they can have a capital budget to allocate them into proper social housing that will also assist the SAPs.
Okay, just lastly, Councillor, can you give us the demographics of this area? Who are we talking to in terms of gender, in terms of race, but in terms of nationality as well?
So yeah, I believe it's very mixture, and I also believe that when it was the xenophobic attacks, a lot of them were sent to this particular area. So you've got a mixture of lots of foreign nationals of all different countries, as well as South Africans that are staying here. There's a lot of African males, and I think there's also females. But there's also the females, they also coming to me to tell me that they're not feeling safe because there's a lot of gender-based violence, especially with alcoholism, which is involved.
Thank you very much, Councillor, for your time. Local council here at Kaya Sands in Honeydew on the north-western side of Johannesburg, just giving us a sense of the environment itself, where we are, the demographics, but also the challenges, but also the relations between all the stakeholders that are involved when it comes to ensuring that people are safe, but also people are safe legally.
Well, thank you for that update. That is our reporter Ziniko Mhlaba out in Honeydew speaking to the ward councillor of Ward 134 about the meeting that they've just had with the people of that community with regards to GBV instances that do exist in that community and are not addressed, among other crimes that are prevalent in that particular area.